Hello everyone and welcome to another Lap of the World how-to video. This series aims to consolidate some of the practical information that you might want to know if you plan to visit a circuit yourself, as well as picking up some of the details that hit the cutting room floor when we put together the more narrative track feature presentations. In that context, and without further ado, let's explore how-to New York Safety Track. If you would like to hear more about the highest altitude U.S. track east of the Mississippi, be sure to check out our track feature video on NYST. Situated about an hour's drive west of Albany, New York Safety Track is 2.2 miles of undulating tarmac draped over a ridgeline in what the map at least calls Jefferson, New York. Formerly a small airfield, since opening as a track in 2013, the circuit has played equal host to both 2- and 4-wheeled track enthusiasts while still accommodating semi-regular light aircraft traffic. As a driving experience that we'll get into more later, it does a really good impersonation of a winding Appalachian road in, of course, a safe and sanctioned environment. I drove NYST with S2K Takeover and can highly recommend their events as a way to experience the circuit. That said, other 2- and 4-wheeled options include, but may not be limited to, the BMW Club, Capital Region Riders, Doghouse Track Days, Dinosaur Motorsports, GOT Track Motorsports, Mass Tuning, MotoStar, NETC, Squad Driven, The Slow Guys, and NYST's own events that they host for both bikes and cars. Here's the address. Plug it in your phone or GPS like any sensible person if you plan to drive in. If you plan to fly in, NYST is identifier NY02, but you absolutely must call ahead to schedule a landing. Driving-wise, the track may show up on any given GPS as Harpersfield, Davenport, or Jefferson, New York, but they should all lead you to the same place. Most likely you'll be approaching via Route 23 and turning onto Parker Schoolhouse Road. There is a big sign that says racetrack, so you really can't miss it. Do your research before deciding how long of a trailer you plan to bring. Some of the approach roads may be tight for the biggest haulers. Although you might find some bed and breakfast offerings closer, most of the lodging you'll find will likely be in Oneonta, about a 20-minute drive west on Route 23. Located off I-88, we actually really enjoyed our day and a half in Oneonta. We can personally recommend the Marriott off of Courtyard Drive. It's a newer property as of 2022 and has food and grocery options within walking distance. Downtown Oneonta also has plenty to offer and is only a 5-minute drive, but we will cover that later. Although some events may cater food in or be large enough to host a food truck, unless you know that's the case in advance, plan to bring your lunch with you, either pre-made or grill-ready with charcoal since there are some picnic-style grills on site. Outside the track, although the internet points to some restaurants closer, depending on the sensitivity of your palate, you may end up right back in Oneonta, which again is going to be a 40-minute round trip or more depending on traffic. There is no fuel on site at NYST, and finding 90+ octane near the track can honestly be problematic. Many of the stations along Route 23 between Oneonta and NYST sell 89 as their highest grade, assuming they're even open when you need gas. We'd advise showing up with a full tank and planning for a minimum of a half-hour errand to tank up midday. For parts, should you need them, you are headed either southeast to the Napa in Stamford, or again back to some other parts chains in Oneonta, including a power sports store for the 2-wheel contingent. If you're staying in Oneonta, don't sleep on the quaint downtown area. This is a college town, so there's more to do there than you might think. We drove over and took a stroll for lunch the day before our event, stopping at Bobo Yaga for some tea, food, and a quick board game before popping around the corner for dessert at Golden Guernsey Ice Cream. Of course, if you're a baseball fan, Cooperstown is only a half-hour north of Oneonta, although that is also something to bear in mind in case your trip coincides with any activities there because it may make lodging hard to find. NYST has a relatively light footprint, but inside the track you'll find most of the basic amenities. A paved entryway leads to a combination of asphalt, gravel, and packed earth parking areas. A modest covered pavilion serves as a classroom and the only real respite from the weather. The main building contains fixed restrooms that, as of our visit in 22, were in a good state of repair and function, and also house showers. They do have a garage and shop area for motorcycle storage as well. Beyond that, however, you will have what you brought in with you. To learn the track before you go, there are various videos available. Of course, you can now find my own Just the Laps video with some competent rounds, as well as videos from some others who are going much quicker. NYST didn't fully exist in virtual form for any sim that I owned at the time, but there are works in progress for Assetto Corsa and some others that may be complete by the time you watch this. Now onto the track itself. If you would like to see me driving consecutive laps of NYST, please find my Just the Laps video, a link to which is probably appearing in the upper right hand corner as I say this. Your uptown lap of New York Safety Track begins on the airstrip as you climb towards turn 1. You can brake later than you think here on account of the slope, but don't leave it too late because it does flatten out on top. I was taking a very late apex into turn 1 and then tracking out to about mid-track here to set up for the 2-3 complex. In the 2-3 complex, I was deliberately staying a little bit off of the 2 apex in order to get a very late clip on turn 3 to carry a little more speed down towards turn 4. Turn 4 is really just kind of a blind crest before you brake for turn 5 just as you come over the top. That blends into turn 6, and your only job here is to set yourself up to go straight over the hill at the exit. This is Wheelie Hill. And get your wheel straight, put your mirror over this cone on the right, land straight, and then get back track right for the 8, 9, 10 complex. The best analogy I could draw here is if VIR's climbing S's went downhill, or maybe Maggots Beckett's Coates on a slope for you Brits. Coming in here to turn 11, you can carry more speed here than I did. There's more room on the outside, and then you can kind of get straightened up here for your turn into 13. And this is an incredibly late apex. It's a very long turn. And then you're going to want to set up for a very late turn into, actually keep it kind of tight on turn 14. Then you're going to straight line it over here to 15 using a little piece of red tarmac on your right. Coming through 15, you're going to do a little, not even really too much on 16 here. You can actually do this flat in a mid-powered car. I did have a lift there. Before braking up hill using the slope to slow yourself down and get back on the throttle as early as possible to carry as much speed as you can back down the airstrip front straight. I don't have too many pro tips for driving NYST other than to be open-minded when you're watching videos and doing your homework, understanding that the camber changes on this track may dictate taking lines that may not make sense at first blush if purely considered in the context of a traditional school line. Off the track, flat level parking is at a premium given the entire facility is on top of a ridge, so get there early if you anticipate a big turnout and need flat parking. Also, please check your drain plugs and make sure you aren't leaking anything. Given that NYST caters heavily to bikes, they are very sensitive to anything that could compromise the track surface, and I'm told falling afoul of their spill policy can get pretty expensive. Thank you then for watching How To New York Safety Track. Hopefully this has been helpful if you plan to visit this possibly obscure but definitely entertaining facility yourself. Thanks again to S2K Takeover for making my own experience there fun and stress-free, as well as of course the track management at NYST. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please remember to leave a like, comment with any suggestions, and consider subscribing. Until next time, I'm Richard, this is Lap of the World, and we'll see you in the next video, if not at the track.